All right. Hello, everyone. Again, we are going to be discussing volcanoes, earthquakes, and the rock cycle today. So again, this lecture will come in a couple of different parts. I will post them in Blackboard. Um, I believe, let's see, my schedule's not in front of me, but I believe this is the last of the lithosphere material. So after this, like, compilation of lectures, you will have your exam. So this will be the end of, like, these few parts will be the end of the material for exam one, so you can start studying for that. These two videos are fun. There's one, it's a funny one where it's these kids uh, doing the floor is lava, but there's a twist on it. It's funny, so check them out. It's always just a little something fun to get the time started. So last time, or if you're following these lectures in order, not playing catch up or jumping around, we talked about different plate boundaries, continental drift, plate tectonics, all of that. So for the test that's coming up, you should know divergent, convergent, transform plate boundaries, along with the other things, but definitely know the difference between those and what happens at each of those. So in divergent, there's like sea floor spreading. You can get Rift Valley regions. At convergent, you get subduction, and with subduction, you tend to get volcanoes that are very explosive. And then at transform plate boundaries, you might get some earthquakes, but comparatively, it is a passive boundary type. So today, volcanoes, earthquakes, um, and then I'm sorry, I always I do go through these before I start recording and then I always see mistakes. So we're not going to talk about weathering mass wasting today. So for today we're going to go from hazards, volcanoes, types of volcanoes, volcanic landforms, magma composition, earthquakes, and earthquakes hazards, and eventually we will talk about weathering mass wasting and type of mass wasting, but not today. So this is your typical volcano. Some of the main parts that we might be talking about. So when you look from the ground level, you see a volcano, and then this is what's happening underneath the ground. There is chambers and connections from the mantle up through the crust, the lithosphere that has kind of come out like a pimple on the earth, and the magma goes under pressure and it erupts. And so it can be very kind of flowy and calm, or it can be really wild and explosive. And there's usually a lot of ash and debris that comes out. And so we'll talk about all these different parts of the volcano, of vent, laccoliths, dike sills. This is when we're talking about volcanoes, we're talking about under the ground and above the ground, all of the ground. So some of the general features, the opening at the top, so this here, so I don't want to say where the magma comes out because magma can come out in different parts of the equator, the volcano. But at the very top, there's that opening, that you tend to think about when you think about volcanoes. Um, and that is either a caldera or a crater. And we call them different names depending on how big they are. So if the summit depression, so that opening, is less than a kilometer in diameter, it's a crater. So that is a smaller opening. And if it's bigger than 1 kilometer, it's a caldera. And calderas are formed after the volcano structure is weakened because the magma that was supporting it has erupted out. And so the top collapses in on itself. We'll look at a step-by-step kind of series of this with Crater Lake. And then there's vents and fumaroles. So a vent is an opening that's connected to the magma chamber. So lava comes out. Let's see. So a vent here's like the magma chamber underneath the ground, and so the vent is connected. Then a fumarole, I don't think they have one on here, but sometimes you will have like a side chamber, like, so this would be a vent, smaller vent. Sometimes there's an opening that's connected and it emits only gases or smoke. And so that's what a fumarole is. So it's kind of like in a teapot, it's like the pressure release, or like on some pan lids, you know, they have those small holes there. It's kind of like a fumarole. Oh, here, okay. So this is the formation of a caldera. So Crater Lake in Oregon. It's this really, really, really pretty lake up on the top of a mountain, a volcano, and there's no inlet of water. It's all rainwater, and it's really deep and really, really, really clear and pure. And if you ever have the chance to go, I highly, 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 highly recommend it. You drive around the caldera. It's very touristy. You can't really get close. You can take a boat ride, but it's super, 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 super cool. Crater Lake, which is funny because it's not a crater, it's a caldera. You should go. So anyways, this is how it is formed though. Calderas are formed. So here was the volcano when it had a full magma chamber and all of the vents were connected, were full. It down here, it erupted, and so the magma that was filling all of those empty spaces has left. And so you can see this gray is like empty area. And so since there's no support, the top of the volcano collapsed in on itself. And now you have a caldera, right? So it collapsed in, it filled in with water. So not all calderas fill in with water, but this one just happens to fill in with water. And in most calderas, if the volcanoes are still active, the magma chamber is now starting to feed and create this tiny volcano. So there'll be small eruptions that kind of build it up and up and up, and it's the new volcano. It's Wizard Island, and you can go see it in Crater Lake. Oh my gosh, look at it, it's so pretty. So this is what it looks like. These are not my pictures, but I did go visit, and there wasn't snow, and there was lots of really friendly squirrels. It's just really cool. So those are some main parts of volcano that you can memorize, get to know. There's also three different types that we're going to talk about. So the first type, and these are mostly referring to the shape of the volcano, although, well, we'll just get into it. Shield volcano. So the first type of volcano is a shield volcano. It's really broad, very slightly domed. It's not super like triangle, like sharp pointed, super tall. It's kind of flat, usually covers large areas. And it's formed that way because it's produced by a lot of mild eruptions. So